Hi guys, welcome back to Unholy Trinity. Hope you had a lovely new year wherever you are. Recently did. So
Did we?
Huh?
you didn't?
Did we? I don't know. I did. But okay.
My New Year? What did we do for New Year? I don't know. We didn't do anything New Year, but
You went to a concert.
well, yeah. So I started the New Year in Abu Dhabi, so
Yeah.
that was something. Anyway,
Anyway, we hope you had a wonderful new year. So today we're back with another Unholy Trinity video where we are reacting to an OG slow-mo guys video. The whole topic revolves around the persistence of vision, the phenomenon of persistence of vision, which all our display devices and capture devices rely on. So I hope you guys really enjoy this video. It's a pretty informative one that I hope that you guys find just as interesting as I did.
let's go. Is this before they were bigger or something like that?
Nah, this
Okay.
is like one of the OG slow-mo guys videos. They always had that high
Alright,
quality, man.
Let's
He
go.
looks comfortable.
Let's go.
Yeah. So this is first we're talking about like display devices and how they work. It's pretty interesting the way when they film everything in slow motion. So yeah, let's start.
Hello there, my name's Gavin, and welcome to this episode of the Slow Mo Guys, very oddly presented from my living room. A while ago, I made a video called How a Camera Works in Slow Mo, and the response was great. So I thought a good natural progression to that video would be how a TV works in slow mo. This is an 85-inch LCD TV, and whenever I'm playing something on it or watching something on it, my eyes and brain are being misled and tricked, giving me the illusion of watching a moving object, when in fact I'm just watching several still images just shown to me very, very fast. If I'm watching a film, I'm being shown 24 images every second, and to my eyes that looks like I'm looking at a moving object, when in fact I'm looking at 24 individual pictures.
So that's basically the persistence of vision thing. So if you're seeing something that's gone, like if you close your eyes after seeing something, you still see it for a while, right? So
Yeah.
that's basically the phenomenon called persistence of vision, and all the display devices, even to an extent, even camera devices capture images, but they just look to us
Combined.
like, this is all stitched together in a way that it looks like video to us.
And is
Even
that
the
and
new-
is the default 24 frames per
Yeah,
second?
the 24 frames per second is usually how movies are generally recorded at.
Okay.
Video games, for example, 60 FPS is the
Yeah.
standard. At least it used to be.
Even the new Sony A763 camera, the latest one,
Yeah.
I've seen there's some burst mode in that. It records around 120 or 150. It captures 150 images per second.
You haven't
Images.
seen anything yet. Let's see this.
Okay.
Images. 150.
Yeah.
Like no. It's
Yeah.
like images.
Okay.
But you could actually play it fast and it feels like a video. But it's actually taking 4K images at that speed, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see,
Let's
you
go.
saw this part where he mentioned about the shutter, the
In
camera
slow-mo,
shutter.
and the
Yeah.
You see that thing at the top? It says 10,000 FPS.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Oh
Yeah.
fuck! I didn't see.
Works in slow mo.
Yeah.
This is an 85-inch LCD, misled and tricked, giving me the illusion of watching a moving object, when in fact I'm just watching several still images just shown to me very, very fast. If I'm watching a film, I'm being shown 24 images every second, and to my eyes that looks like I'm looking at a moving object, when in fact I'm looking at 24 individual pictures. If I'm playing a game, it's the same except maybe 30 to 60 frames a second. And if I'm on a PC, it could be hundreds. PC Master Race. But a TV like this is actually incapable of showing you one image and then a 24th of a second later, just switching all at once to the next image. And to illustrate this next point, I'm going to use a very old and very crap CRT TV.
Ditch tech.
That stands for cathode ray tube. If you've ever seen one of these filmed, you may notice that it looks slightly different on camera than it does to your eye. Look at that. The reason it looks like this is because the shutter speed of this camera is out of sync with the refresh rate of this screen. The frame is
We'll get to
constructed
that
from the
part
top
too later.
to the bottom multiple times per second. That's 60 times in the US, 60 hertz. I've prepared for you some high-speed footage that I shot a long time ago on the V2511 of this screen and some others. A lot of it is Dan playing Super Mario on the NES extremely badly. Here's the TV and the cat played back at 25. This is how it would be perceived in real time. And now at 1600 frames a second, you can actually see the scan line moving from the top to the bottom. You'll notice that on a CRT screen, it's only the active line of pixels that's bright. and your persistence of vision will actually build that into a complete image. It's messing with my eyes.
1600 frames per second.
Yeah.
By the way.
It's like a dance floor. Oh, didn't even make it. That's the first guy.
Fuck, man.
Slowed all the way down to 2500 frames a second, you can now differentiate each individual frame being built from top to bottom.
So
He's
cool.
moving, he's
It's
moving.
so cool
Yeah.
just seeing it like that, like being each line getting built up as it is. But yeah.
It takes an extremely fast camera to see that each frame is built line by line from top to bottom. But it takes an even faster camera to
28,000
see that each line is drawn from left to right. Slowed down to 28,500 frames a second, we're now seeing glimpses of that, but we do need to go even slower. This is now 118,000 frames a second. I'm going to put the stats up for you here, so you can see the actual amount of time
How
that
are they
it
even
took. And you can see now that the line is being drawn
Camera
from
is
left to right on the screen. Now at 146,000 frames a second. To gain perspective on just how slow this actually is, you can see the exact time I shot this. So this is hours, it was just past midnight, 23 minutes, 41 seconds. This is a tenth of a second, a hundredth of a second, 1,000th of a second, or a millisecond. And then over here you've got a 10,000th of a second, a 100,000th of a second, and this unit here is the millionth of a second, or a microsecond. We are now at 380,000
Bro,
frames a second
how
as our
like,
recording
what
frame rate.
are
That
they
is
What the
highest
fuck kind of
frame rate
cameras are
we've
they
ever
using?
Phantom cameras or something, they have it. Like,
Oh.
I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm very impressed by this, but I'm also very impressed by the cameras they're using to actually capture this.
Like, by the way, if you see the resolution, whenever they increase the speed, usually there's a trade-off. So they reduce the resolution. So right now they're shooting at 256 by 128.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you see that image number 189 fighter. That's how many images it's capturing. Like, you see
shot
that
so
number is
far on
changing.
this channel.
Oh,
and
yeah.
using this information,
It's
here's a
capturing
little bonus
so
fact.
many images every
A
second.
CRT screen can draw Mario's moustache in less than a
Oh, fuck, look at- oh my God, look at
380,000th
that.
of a second. That is some seriously fast facial hair. And if you're wondering why this footage looks extremely mucky and blurry, it's because the resolution is only 256 by 128, which plonked into a 4K frame is this big. That CRT screen is standard def. This is a 4K screen, which means it's 3840 by 2160 pixels. That's over 8 million pixels. So think of the processing power that this TV has to have to update an image that big that many times every second. The first thing you'll notice about a modern LCD screen is that it's not only the active line of pixels that retains brightness, it's the entire image. So you can actually see the full image as each scan line passes down the screen. This is every frame of the startup sequence on an Xbox One.
It's
Oh.
an Xbox One.
Okay.
But it's backlit. LCD screens are backlit.
Yeah,
I
compared
also
to
recorded
CRT,
myself
the
playing a
whole
game
thing
of
is
Halo.
not-
Nothing will make you feel worse about your performance than watching your lousy aim in slow-mo. Look at that. It's crazy to think that when you're playing Halo, this is actually what is happening on your TV. If only you could see at this speed, your aim would be incredible. It honestly makes me feel bad when I fall asleep watching TV, knowing that this TV is doing all this intensive work, changing literally tens of millions of pixels every second.
This TV probably has more processing power than the spacecraft that we sent to the moon,
Very much.
which
Yeah.
is what's
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Had to find someone, please fact check that.
No, I think it is because
It has like RAM of 8 MB or something.
Yeah, because like
I
think
remember they use the same technology. I've heard somewhere
Yeah.
that they're using the same technology as some Game Boy. Like was
Exactly.
Used, yeah.
even I think like iPhones 10 years ago they used to compare that, right? Saying that
Ah.
okay, this phone is way more powerful compared to what they had to use.
Efficiency, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Fuck.
And there's no one there watching it.
Fuck.
Here's a fun fact, the same applies to an iPhone, except it's in portrait mode. So if you're watching a video in landscape mode on your iPhone, you're actually getting updates from left to right, or right to left, depending on which way you flipped it. And that just proved to me that you can't see the refresh direction with your naked eye, because I had no idea whenever I was watching a YouTube video on my iPhone that the screen was updating in a completely different direction. I'm not sure if this is the case for all smartphones, but it's certainly the case on an iPhone 7 Plus, which is what I filmed this on. So we've talked about one illusion of TVs, the illusion of movement. The second illusion I want to talk about is the illusion of color. For this next part, I'm going to need a second camera. Here's one. That's you. Hello, you. So, in order to film this screen extremely close, I have to set my focus at the minimum possible distance. So it's sort of like right here now. Set to my minimum focus. As I slowly move towards the screen, it becomes sharper, and you will then, at the last minute, see a very odd looking pattern. And what you're seeing there is an effect caused by the camera, this camera trying to resolve individual pixels on the surface of this screen. As I push further forward, the effect disappears and everything goes out of focus. That's because I'm now beyond the minimum focal distance of this lens, which is about, well, it's about there. Not close enough. In order to get closer, I'm going to need a macro lens. Here's one. As I approach the white and everything starts to become in focus, you can see that white isn't so white anymore. Yeah. It looks like I have to go closer even than that. Thankfully, I can go all the way to 5 times magnification. Now, one thing from this point, I am definitely going to need a tripod because there's no way my arms are sturdy enough to hold this in place.
Where does he stop with his magnification? It's like, where does he stop with his magnification, right? At what point will he say, yeah, this is my limit?
Yeah.
I want to see that video once of slow-mo, guys.
Yeah,
to show you the level of magnification.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Well, this close, it's a different story altogether. I'm gonna get a tripod. Here's one. What a mission this is. Alright, let's see what we can do here. We're so close up right now that I can actually disturb this image by blowing on the lens.
What?
We're now looking at the sub-pixel level.
Oh, it's so sensitive.
That's
Pixel
what
is
we
made
see
up
on the TV.
Yeah.
I think whenever we see TV manufacturers talk about the new technology, right? Like when LCD then we transition from OLED, they always give you the slideshow presentations about pixels, but actually seeing it on device, it makes us appreciate even more how far we have come.
See more
3 sub-pixels, red, green and blue, RGB, you may have heard that before, and this creates the illusion of different colors. By dimming and brightening different sub-pixels to different intensities, this screen can create the illusion of literally millions of different colors. When all 3 are lit to full brightness, you get white. When all 3 dim, you go through gray all the way down to black. So if green dims away and red and blue are still lit, then you go into magenta, purple, that sort of area, and that's how the colors are made. So every time on your TV, you're looking at a white image, you're looking at tons of blue, green, and red lights. They're just so small, they look like white to your eye. Before you get white, red, green, and blue blurs into yellow, cyan, and magenta, and that's what happens here when I move the screen slightly out of focus. This is too close to watch it.
RGBs are just dancing to give you different...
They are the primary colors.
Yeah. I mean, I know we know that RGBs are the primary colors, but it's just weird to actually see it in action.
Yeah, it's like we have always heard about it in theory, but actually seeing it happen on a display, it feels like a different deal altogether.
The slow-mo guys video, I might vomit. It's the same situation, just entire blocks and they're bigger.
Okay, so that's the old.
As I mentioned before, this is a 4K LCD screen, which a while back were typically lit by CCFLs, or a cold cathode fluorescent lamp, which means the entire panel is backlit by fluorescent tubes. Nowadays, they are backlit by LEDs. This is why this would actually be marketed as an LED TV. The benefit of LED screens over CCFL screens is that they're a lot thinner. Now I'm going to point it at where some black text is. Now interestingly, even though this area is black, because all the subpixels have dimmed, they are still in fact backlit. Let me show you that right now. Now you can see as we push in here, you have to pardon the noise. We're at an extremely high ISO to get this shot through a macro lens. But You can see even the dimmed pixels, part of the liquid crystal display, is it's now trying to block all light from penetrating through, but it's still a backlit pixel. And that's one of the fundamental limitations of an LCD screen.
So basically the blacks are not black enough because even though it's black, there's always backlight.
the backlight.
Yeah.
I want to see the same thing, same video with an OLED screen.
Upcoming.
Which he's gonna do that.
You can
Oh,
see
fuck.
this effect on an LCD screen in the credits of the film because you've got an almost completely black image, but because there's white text, the entire backlight has to be on to display the white, which means light will leak out from the black pixels.
You see that point I mentioned, just because even if there's just one pixel which has white, the entire screen has to be backlit.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why, like, yeah.
This is an LCD thing.
There's
right?
an LCD. Yeah.
Which means it's not true black. There is another
It's not
technology
true black,
that's becoming
yeah,
much
exactly.
more common these days, and that is an OLED screen, organic light emitting diode. I did want to include a comparison between an LCD panel and an OLED panel, but I didn't actually have an OLED TV. And by sheer luck, right in the middle of me shooting all this footage, LG got in touch and offered to supply me with an OLED TV for the purpose of making this video, which I really appreciate. Thanks, LG. Why don't we go and take a look at it? This is a 77-inch LG OLED TV. The way OLED technology works is that each pixel is self-illuminating, depending on how much voltage is passing through it, which means there's no global backlight on the TV. Each pixel is individually in control of how bright it is, and it's not being lit from behind. And that means when we go to our high ISO experiment, just like we did on the LCD, that when there's an area of black on the screen, all of those pixels are off. And you can see here where I'm putting my cursor in front of the lens. You can see each subpixel lighting up and then completely turning off when it goes away. This technology means much deeper blacks and the possibility of a very thin screen. And there you have it, a brief explanation of how a TV works in slow-mo. If you found that video interesting, chances are you might find some other videos interesting on this channel, so make sure you boop. And once you've booped, feel free to check out our... It's just there.
So that's basically a summary of how TV technology has developed and how they basically work. Now, speaking of the same topics, all display devices, even monitors, they have refresh rates. We probably heard like 120 Hz,
144.
144, 60 Hz refresh rate. So you can think of it as, let's say your monitor is asking your CPU or something for images, and your CPU is rendering the images. So CPU supplies and monitor displays. So let's say, for example, you're playing a 60 FPS game. Okay, so your CPU is rendering 60 images per second, but your monitor is capped at, let's say, 30 Hz. So 30 Hz is about 30 frames per second.
So it's downsizing.
Yeah, so even though your CPU is producing 60 images and is doing all that hard work, your monitor can't show it to you because it can only refresh 30 times per second.
What if it's 120?
If it's again, so if
is it going to stretch it, or is it going to still display
no,
60?
You're gonna see the same frame for multiple refreshes. So let's say 120 Hz is a refresh rate, and you have 60 Hz, 60 FPS as the output. So for 60 images, it's asking 120 times. The monitor is asking for images 120 times, but the CPU is only giving you 60 images. So now it has to basically show you the same image every two times it refreshes.
Yeah, so it's going to repeat it for every year.
Exactly. So that's why usually in video games we get this screen tearing effect. There's like a line passing down. That's because of the refresh rate and FPS mismatch.
Not being in sync.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good to know the theory and the practical way after you play it.
Yeah, and you remember this setting called VSync?
Yeah, the NVIDIA VSync and all that.
VSync is basically a settings and graphics stuff, right? So from my understanding, what it does is, let's say you have a 60 Hz monitor, and you're playing like a really old game which your CPU can very easily produce like 120 Hz, for example. So now your CPU is doing all this hard work, it's creating 120 frames per second, but then your monitor can't show it. What's the point? You can't see it, right? So turning on this VSync, what it usually does is the monitor is basically, it's like telling your CPU, don't work so hard, just give me 60. So it's So whenever you turn on VSync, you usually see at the top like 59 or 60, like you see the FPS meter just capped.
It's capped at that,
So your monitor is not working as hard. I mean, your CPU is not working as hard. Yeah, that's basically the idea of like refresh rates.
So I have a question, right? Let's say like I have a 120 Hz monitor
Mm.
not using VSync,
Mm.
and let's say I'm running like a very old game that my CPU can give up to like 200 FPS, right?
Mm.
Let's just say that. So, should I like? Is it okay for my monitor to? I mean, like it basically asks for more. Okay, wait. I think it's the other way around. My question
I mean,
is,
what is the refresh rate of your monitor?
let's say my refresh rate of the monitor is higher than the game's refresh rate.
So,
So it's gonna ask for the same frame twice.
yeah, it's going to show you the same frame twice because your CPU is unable to give it to the monitor.
Okay, would that make my experience better because it's asking for
I
the
mean-
same frame twice?
It depends. If it's exactly the same, let's say 120 FPS.
Okay.
120 hertz is a refresh rate of your monitor.
Okay.
And you have 60 FPS.
Okay.
So it's exactly half.
Okay.
So your monitor can basically decide, okay, it's going to show you the same image twice, but you won't even notice it at that point. But if it's like something, let's say instead of 60 120, it's 80 120 or 78 120. So the ratio is not like exactly half and half, right?
Yeah.
So you might see some screen tears.
Okay.
But again, probably
It's
more.
not.
I just had
it's
it
not
down.
first-
Yeah.
We can't see it with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can only probably experience it after we're using it a long time. Like when you go from a 60 hertz phone, like an iPhone 15, iPhone 13, 12,
Yeah.
and then you switch to the Pro models, which
Yeah.
has 120 hertz ratio. You might just feel that
Yeah.
difference of
The
screen
snappiness,
tear,
the motion
snappiness.
being-
Usually
very
we
smooth.
see this in like movies. You remember whenever the camera is panning around, everything just blurs away. In movies because it's 24 frames per second, it's very
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
So if you're watching it on your laptop, which has like 60 hertz, it doesn't have enough images to show. So when the camera is moving, with like some wide background shot, it's like scenery, if they're showing some scenery that's moving, it's going to look a bit blurry.
And in a few, what I observed is in a few anime or some movie shots with a black background, it has this curving thing, the light curves. So let's say there's a light, the
Okay.
shots.
Lens flare.
That's lens flare. No, that's not the lens
No,
flare.
lens flare.
Let's say
Okay.
for example, a video is playing with a light source.
Okay.
Mm.
So the light source is being illuminated on the camera screen, on the movie screen. Some monitors, they display it as waves,
Mhm.
while some actually show it as actual light emission in a pattern, in a spread out pattern, while some monitors display it as waves. So that's probably because of the refresh rate as well.
Maybe.
Could be.
Because again, they're
And-
images.
And this is the
Yeah.
first time, yeah.
They're images.
This is the first
Ultimately,
time
what
I'm
we're
hearing.
seeing, yeah, even
So,
I'm hearing this for the first time. So ultimately, just images for us, the persistence of vision, it just stitches it. Our brain just stitches everything together. So speaking of now, this was so far display devices, right? If we flip to the other side and go to camera devices, now he showed at the beginning of the video. Remember this shutter
Yeah.
closing and opening.
Yes.
This-
Yes.
The spark.
Slow-mo, and the
Again,
response
we never
was
see
great.
this. That's the reflective.
Because of how
mirror
fast
looking
it is.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sensor. That reflective thing behind, that's a sensor, and there's a shutter which is opening and closing.
That's
So-
capturing the light.
Yeah, that's the shutter opens, it lets light through, and then the shutter closes and it blocks light.
Yeah.
So that's the idea, right? So have you ever seen like videos like these?
Yeah. The propellers.
Yeah.
You can actually see the propellers on.
Yeah.
Not just the propellers, I think even the fan as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
when you turn it to 24 FPS or
Mhm.
120 FPS on our phones.
So this is not related to FPS necessarily, but you see
Okay.
these propellers are looking weird, like they're out of shape. So that is basically the rolling shutter. So there's on our phones, for example, there's a line that goes from the top to bottom. Our cameras, it just scans from the top to bottom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So let's say you're filming something really fast and your camera is refreshing a bunch of times, but then they're out of sync.
Yeah.
So that's when you get this rolling shutter thing. So there's this wonderful video by Smarter Every Day, another like really good channel.
What's up? I'm
Amazing
Destin.
channel.
This is Smarter Every Day. Get your phone out. You see that little camera assembly there? Let's
So
take it.
if we go to like I remember, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotated my phone. I happen to have a high-speed camera with me, so I got it out and I started collecting data.
This is basically that. That's your camera's rolling shutter. It's moving up and down.
This is what your camera does dozens of times per second.
So is there a difference between the
I
shutter
noticed noticed that the patterns look very different depending on which way the propeller was rotating relative to the rolling shutter.
So your phone is again basically scanned from the top to bottom, but the propellers move so fast that you get this.
A couple years later, though, when I was taking high-altitude flight lessons near Pikes Peak in Colorado, I finally got my chance to video a propeller head-on the tarmac.
We can do this right now with our phones. Like if we have something really fast, like it's right in front of us, and like if you turn on Pro Mode, we can adjust the shutter
The
speed.
fidget spinner community has known for a
That's
while now
because
that
our camera shutter speed is very fast. That's why it's turning.
And that's even faster. The propeller's even faster.
It's even faster, yeah.
Yeah, and they're out of sync, so you're getting that effect. I mean, this is with a
it's
fidget
really
spinner.
bright outside. A cell phone camera videoing a fidget spinner will turn it into what they call the thing. It's just rolling shutter with a little bit of aliasing thrown in, but it looks like some kind of ninja alien throwing star. Anyway, when you slow it down with a high-speed camera, you can really reveal the map that makes this look so weird.
Look at all that. Now, we were talking about out of sync stuff, right? Have you ever seen like something like this?
Yeah.
Looks like a magic trick. Like it looks almost like CG.
The speed of the rotors is equal to the frames that the camera is
The
producing.
shutter speed.
The shutter speed.
So it
look at
looks
that, it
like
looks
it's
so
not
weird.
actually rotating.
Yeah. It looks like it's not even spinning, but it's flying.
Yeah.
But if you see that
The
particular
tail, yeah, we can see actually the
the
tail
tail,
blade rotate.
that's the thing I was about to point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tail thing is spinning, but this one we see that it's not spinning.
It's the same with those birds, you know, the videos of CCTV footages
There you
with
go.
birds.
This one I saved it. I know you would say it. See, I saved it. Yeah.
It's crazy how it is. The speed, the FPS of the
Yeah.
bird brings us equal to that.
It looks like it's just levitating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again,
Shout out
like,
to Dua Lipa.
so what?
It's okay.
It's levitating.
Okay.
So shout out to Dua Lipa.
So yeah, like this is basically how like even they are filming slow motion. So if we are talking about like since we're on the topic, so slow motion basically is capturing like multiple images per second, but then they show only a portion of those images to you per second. So let's say if I record like 100 images per second, but then I show you only 50 images in 1 second and then another 50 in another second. Now I've stretched out that 1 second into 2 for you. Yeah. So if I capture like 100,000 frames every image and I only show you like 20 images every second, then obviously it's gonna look like so slow-mo. Like that's basically the principle behind slow-mo videos. And the exact opposite is time-lapse. Instead of capturing multiple frames every second, I capture one image maybe after 3-4 seconds, one image, or
That's
maybe
why
30
the quality
seconds.
is choppy.
Yeah, that's why everything seems like it's jumping around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what kind of storage these slow-mo guys use to have
Bro,
such
I know, right? Like-
petabytes of data.
I know.
Yeah.
Like it's keep going on, like magnifying it to 5x, and that's when he stopped with his macro lens.
Yeah, and this is this video that they made. It's what, like 7 years ago now. The recent videos they had are even they used even more powerful cameras.
Oh my god.
I think we should save that for like a next React video.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot we can discuss on just this.
yeah.
True.
There you go. 1,750,000 frames per second.
Bro, fuck
lightning.
off, dude.
Yeah.
What is 1 million FPS, bro?
Even that's something. That's 2 years ago.
I think he has like a server at his place, you know, just to store like a video or two at this point.
Bro, these guys have been on YouTube since the beginning, and
Okay.
like they're OGs. Like they found a niche of slow-mo videos, and they film different stuff in slow-mo, and it's.
If only I had that kind of FPS on my games.
You-
I would still lose, but
Yeah, I was about to
it
say
would
that.
be fun.
No, it would be
Just
even
to
annoying.
evaluate ourselves, it would be fun, yeah.
Alright,
That's
so yeah,
pretty much it, yeah.
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 I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a pretty informative one, but this is something that I found online and it's very interesting to me. So I thought I'd bring it over to the channel and show you
We are
guys.
here to educate your stupid brain.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like we don't just blabber a lot, but
Yeah.
we also, you know, sometimes give good information.
Yeah.
And make it entertaining in a way.
Let's not think much about that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's,
Alright,
That's been the video.
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
We're gonna do the outro as well.
yeah.
That's it, outro.
Subscribe, like,
Just,
share,
yeah.
do the usual things that
You
we
know
do.
what to do, they know what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
They
share,
have
subscribe
heard it
if you
from
like
like a
yeah.
lot of people
Exactly.
already. So
They know what to do. We don't have to
They
ask.
probably quit the video by the time. I don't think nobody's watching at this point.
I know.
Yeah.
They like the moment we said bye. I don't think they left halfway. I guess after 15 minutes
Yeah.
when the slow video is done. No, we can just blabber.
But
between
whoever
us.
is still watching, thank
We
you,
appreciate it. Yeah.
and it means a lot.
It's probably just us three watching it after the video is uploaded. So we're just talking to
Yeah,
our
that's fine.
future
Yeah.
selves.
Yeah.
Like imagine that.
I wouldn't want to see myself though. That's the thing.
Anyway,
Yeah, just
thank you so much for watching and see you in the next episode.